Crystal Bar from Servant Hands Massage Therapy, and today I was going to discuss what to do since you can't currently go to your massage therapist. So we still have about a week left here in Texas so far that we know of before we can start massaging again, and except if you have a doctor's prescription. But every state has different things going on. Being able to kind of continue with life with not being able to get your massage can be hard for people whose bodies have really gotten used to it, or even just getting used to being at it in a different situation, working from home, different setup. So one of the things that I highly recommend is magnesium, and as I start doing these videos, you're going to be hearing me preach magnesium. So if you want to go through your kind of own little checklist, they say that 85% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. I think the last thing that I read. So if you're not somebody who's taking the supplement, you can pretty much guarantee that you are. So signs and symptoms that you're deficient in magnesium: you tend to be constipated, crave chocolate. If you ever get the restless leg syndrome, just can't keep your feet still, or they feel creepy crawly. If you do that falling asleep and you jerk yourself back awake, or if you're trying to relax and things will twitch or flip or flail. If you ever get what's called tetany, where you get little muscle twitters, like your eyelid starts jumping around for no good reason, any cramps, spasms, bone spurs, calcium deposits, sleep all night, don't feel rested, toss and turn all night like you're wrestling with an alligator in your sleep, or a real light sleeper, remember all your dreams, teeth grinding, clenching, dark circles under your eyes, heart palpitations, high blood pressure, or vertigo. Can all be different signs that you're deficient in magnesium. Your body uses magnesium for 300 biochemical functions, which is why there's such a long list of the symptoms when you're deficient in it. So getting a good magnesium is going to be able to help your body relax, especially because your body uses magnesium to relax its muscles, but it also uses magnesium to cope with stress. So when you're going through a situation like the whole world is right now, most of us have an increased stress level. And your body just naturally depletes magnesium coping with their stress, so there's nothing left to relax the muscles. The cool thing about magnesium is it tells you if you've had enough, because if you've had too much, it'll loosen your stool. So it's a good way to make sure that you're not getting too much of something. When it comes to the stuff that I recommend, I used to recommend the Natural Calm. It tastes better, it's easier for people to get a hold of. And it's in a powder form, so you can kind of hand tailor the dose. But nowadays, I kind of have, since then I've discovered this stuff, and I love it. It doesn't taste that great, but I mean, if you put it like a quarter to half a teaspoon in like a shot glass of water, just kind of tastes like a real salty and metallic to me. It's not that bad, honestly, and then it doesn't have an aftertaste that lingers too bad. There's some of my clients that will completely argue with me on that one and said it's vile and horrible and awful, but I don't think it's that bad. They probably have different brands probably sell it, but just getting it in a liquid form is going to help. And your body, different people have different results with different types of magnesium. It comes in the citrate, the sulfate. This is an ionic form. The taurate, I really think the ionic form is one of the easiest to absorb for most people. So what I recommend, what I personally do, is you start with like a quarter teaspoon first night. Take it before you go to bed. Helps you get a better quality sleep. Kind of pay attention to your bowel movements. Next night, up it to half a teaspoon, and just kind of slowly creep it up until your stool gets a little too soft, and then you back it off. For me personally, my body has a hard time, for whatever reason, just kind of metabolizing or holding on to that magnesium, and so I kind of have to bust it up. I take a half a teaspoon before I go to bed at night, and a quarter teaspoon in the day. And if at any time during the day I start having those symptoms, like the eye twittering, for me, I usually feel like I've got a hamster doing a tap dance in my left calf. It's the spokesperson for the body. I don't know why, it just is. And so once I start feeling that, I just know that I need some more magnesium. For us ladies, when you're on your cycle, your vitamins and minerals are being flushed, and so we get depleted. So just kind of get used to around that time, you're going to have to up how much you take. So that's the magnesium nutritional aspect of getting your body happy without a massage therapist. The easier, faster way to get the magnesium, as far as like getting it into your muscles where you need it most, is by taking an Epsom salt bath or magnesium soak. There's Epsom salts is the sulfite form of magnesium. Then we have the other form that comes in the flakes, and that one's supposed to absorb easier. But with the Epsom salts, those are the ones that are easiest to get a hold of. You can go get them at any kind of pharmacy around. And they say, I've heard it said you want to do 1 cup of salt per 100 pound a person and soak for at least a half an hour. Don't be surprised about the 20-minute mark. You start to sweat. It's just a detoxing thing. But making sure your muscles get all the magnesium they need is really going to help as far as you being able to cope without your massage therapist. And if you're one of those that is on statins, I encourage you to go ahead and do the baths and maybe talk to your doctor about the whole statin thing, because statins they interfere with the production of the enzyme that we need to process our magnesium. So if you're on the statins, even though you maybe take the magnesium, your body's not absorbing it. And I think, as far as I understand, taking it in an Epsom salt bath actually kind of skips the glitch that the statins cause. But if you're on a statin for high cholesterol, you may want to check in to see if there's any other options that your doctor will let you kind of go to. So as far as other things dealing without having a massage therapist, making sure that you're on a natural anti-inflammatory just to get rid of all that extra lactic acid. I take a serapeptase. I talked about this in another video. Just a proteolytic enzyme. It's an enzyme that breaks down the proteins that your body doesn't need, so all the dead white blood cells are just kind of hanging out, causing congestion. And when I'm seriously, aggressively taking this for something, I could take up to 6 of those a day. That's me personally. I'm not telling you what to do. You'll see, if you go looking on about serapeptase, you'll see some person did a video blog about how he was mega dosing and it started bogging down his liver because your liver's having to process everything. But it was, like I said, listen to your body. For me, 6 a day is kind of my max, is when I'm mega dosing for stuff. And then when it comes to a good anti-inflammatory that addresses it on a different level, your turmeric or your curcumin, same basic thing, but just curcumin is active ingredient that causes an anti-inflammatory process. So keeping your body nutritionally in a place where you're not going to have excess inflammation. And stretching. When you're exercising, stretch between sets. When you're sitting at your desk, get up and stretch. Anything that starts feeling tight, stretch, move it. You need some oxygen to get in that area. When you're dealing with a specific area that's tight, if you alternate, and this is what we were always told in school. I know that was almost 20 years ago, and they've had some different ideas about the icing and heating, but I found it works very good for me, that I alternate ice, heat, ice. So you ice for 10 or 20 minutes. You don't want to ice longer than that because your whole point is trying to get blood away from the area. If you hang on after that, then it kind of causes a deep circulation, which is what you're trying to avoid. So you ice for 10 or 20 minutes, and then immediately heat for 10 or 20 minutes. You don't have to wait between the two. And then ice again for 10 or 20 minutes. And do that as, resting an hour between. You can do that as much as you want. If you want to throw stretching in there, stretching after the heat is the best time to do it. So ice, heat, stretch, ice again. One of the best ways to address sore spots. And when it comes to those spots in the middle of your back, especially if you're single and you don't have somebody to poke on your own back, getting a tennis ball, golf ball, whatever feels best to you, throw it in the toe of a tube sock or a nylon, throw it over your shoulder and just kind of push up against a wall so you can kind of get that for yourself. We have a thing I didn't think about bringing it in here called there's a Theracane or a back knobber. Different brands have different ways of presenting it, but it's a way that you can just kind of trigger point on yourself. Thank you. So this one is the Theracane, and so you can just kind of get onto those spots on your own self. My favorite thing to do with this, I get tight right up in here, which most of us do. We tend to scrunch our shoulders up, is to kind of pin the muscle down and then stretch my head away from it. And just doing it slowly, taking your time with it. You can do it while you're watching TV. So that's kind of one tool. Otherwise, like I said, tennis ball, or some people really love a lacrosse ball. Any of those kind of getting in there can help you kind of address your own muscle needs. If ever you're working on a spot and it refers pain elsewhere, that means it's a latent trigger point. So trigger point is just a knot in the muscle that refers pain. So sometimes if that pain is always there, then it's an active trigger point. If you're poking on it, it refers pain, that means it's latent, which means half a step away from being active. Either way, it means it's the place you want to poke on. And let's see, as far as dealing without having your massage therapist, you need to make sure you're nutritionally sound. You can poke on your own spots, get your stretching in, take your Epsom salt baths, and I think that's pretty much it. We're hopefully we're going to be getting things back into gear again soon, and we'll all be able to take care of all of our clients. Until then, I hope everyone's kind of coping with this the best they can. Thanks.